This is the evolution of an already great case. This is what gave Montech a boost on the PC case market, and as a next step we now have the Sky 2 GX, a case that is focused on airflow, but not only that, this is a case that can handle extreme hardware inside as it is capable to accept high-end components without issues. But wait, there's more. You do get 3 140mm fans pre-installed in the front to cool your stuff, and all that for only 85 bucks. I don't call this case an evolution of an already classic case, I call this a steal. Looking for affordable Windows or Office keys? Look no further, I got you covered. Head over to scdkey.com, pick your Windows edition, use my discount code LE25 to get a 25% on any Windows or Office products. Once you complete your order, after a few seconds you will receive your code. In Windows, go to Settings, there should be an Activate Windows prompt at the bottom. Click that, enter your code and wait for Windows to finish activation. To check the activation status, use the command prompt with the command slmgr.vbs/xpr and you should receive a notification that the machine is permanently activated. Once again, use code LE25 at scdkey.com. The design of the case did not change much, but it is rather refined and improved according to the trends and needs of the newer components. Case dimensions are 460 in length, 250 in wide and 500mm tall. Front of the case has a large mesh and you can see 3 large 140mm fans through it. To access them, just gently pull the cover as it sits there held by magnets in place. No force needed, just a gentle push and it is off. Fans are AX140 PWM models, which is quite an impressive fans. RPM range is from 600 to 1600, airflow is 90.5 CFM and static pressure is 2.9mm H2O. But what is also great is the noise, which is whisper quiet at 27.9 decibels. Of course, you can mount 3 120mm fans here if you wish so, and also up to 360mm radiators. The tempered glass side panel is not removable traditionally. Instead, you have the handle on the side and you open it like a door, which is actually super convenient in case you need to check something real quick inside. You can of course remove the door as it is held in place with hinges. The bottom part of the case, the PSU area, is completely open with a mesh cover for fresh air intake inside of the main chamber, which I will explain in a moment. Interior is just the right size for a case to fit in the mid-tower category, but it can still accept extended ATX boards since you can use the extended side piece to mount larger boards to it, or completely remove it if you want to use 2 120mm side-mounted fans for extra air intake. In both cases, you will still have rubber grommets on the side for larger cables to pass through. On the top and bottom of the motherboard tray, there are no rubber grommets. And in the front of the case you can mount an AIO in push-pull config, but you are limited to classic radiator thickness of 27mm and 25mm fans. There is a dedicated GPU cable pass-through hole with rubber grommet, and you can see that the PSU shroud is perforated and it can accept 2 120mm fans here for extra fresh air for the GPU itself as it is being pulled from outside. You can also notice holes for PCI riser cables, so this means that you can install GPUs here vertically, but you will need an extra adapter for that and riser cable of course. In the rear you can mount up to one 120mm fan in size with rails for slight up or down adjustment. No 140mm fan support here unfortunately. The PSU is mounted from the inside of the case and it does include a small dust filter that is removable from the back side. The back panel is held in place by captive thumb screws and it doesn't have any insulation, but it does have perforated holes for side-mounted fans with included magnetic dust filter. But here on the back we have two 2.5-inch drive caddies, cable Velcro straps and zip tie points are present everywhere for easy cable management, but we also have a nice PWM and ARGB hub up top which can accept 6 fans and 6 ARGB devices at once. In the PSU shroud area there are also two 3.5-inch caddies which can accept either one 3.5 or one 2.5-inch drive. Here is also the accessories box with all the needed screws to start your building. This hard drive cage is completely removable by the way, in case you don't want to use it but rather use the space to organize PSU cables, since it accepts PSU up to 210mm in length and more if you remove the hard drive cage. The top I/O panel is simple but it has everything you need. power and reset buttons with LED indicators for power and hard drive activity, 2 USB 3.0 ports, separate headphone and microphone jacks, and USB Type-C port as well. The top cover, on the other hand, is excellent. It is removable from the back with a captive thumb screw, and it is that dense mesh that has no additional filters since it acts as one anyway, but you do not need filters up top anyway. Up here you can mount 3 120mm fans or 2 140mm fans and up to 360mm in radiator sizes. Under the case you can see that it has elevated feet to allow fresh air intake for the PSU, and you can notice the hard drive cage positioning holes plus screws that are used to remove it completely. The building experience and clearances that I did not mention because there is a slight issue that I ran into. I wanted to use the Lienli TL LCD fans on the side for those fancy LCD info screens, but as they are slightly larger than regular 120mm fans, I ran into a small issue that they are touching the rubber grommets on the side, just one tiny millimeter maybe. They do sit nicely, but you might run into a similar issue. You could remove the rubber grommets or work around them and wiggle the fans in. It's doable. Clearances for the GPU are up to 400mm, and this RX 6900 XT is on the larger size and it fits nicely here. For the CPU heatsinks but also GPU width, you are looking at 168mm max. Beware if you have large RTX 40 cards with 12V high power cable that sticks out too much. Anyhow, the overall building experience aside the tiny side fan issue is excellent as always. Everything fits nicely, cable management is super easy, GPU cable pass-through hole is an excellent choice, and I think every case should have it. The AIO up top sits nicely with all the fans above the motherboard, so no RAM clearance issues whatsoever. There is even an extra 10mm of space left, so you can use thicker radiators. But I know you want to see the numbers. How is the performance? For the build here I used Ryzen 7 7800X3D CPU with NZXT Kraken 360 RGB I/O, and for the GPU I used the ASRock OC Formula RX 6900 XT overclocked card, pretty beefy card and power hungry as well. And on purpose I did not install the bottom fans, just to see if the GPU would suffer. The CPU idles at 42 degrees, it sits at around 55 while gaming, and up to 70 degrees while being stress tested. The GPU idles at 32 degrees, and while maxed out it goes up to 60 degrees only. So I guess that large front fans and side fans do indeed help with injecting a lot of fresh air inside of the case for beefy hardware that you can put here. Everything will be cooled without any issues. Adding fans on the PSU shroud would have aided the GPU maybe to be cooler by up to 2 degrees, since those fans would suck air directly from the outside of the case, given the fact that the PSU shroud is perforated on the outside as well. The build quality is excellent as always with Montech. I honestly don't know how they manage to make their cases so good every time and keep the price below that $100 mark. In this case, it sits at $85, giving you everything you need for most demanding PC builds. So, sub to the channel guys, like and share the video, and I'll see you in the next one.